Yes, thank you, Chair. Yes, there are quite a few hotspots in motion. First of all, Iran. It appears that the serious unrest that took place there last week has stopped, or if you will, has been suppressed. The reporting on this was, to say the least, confusing. Various videos on social media showed large, violent demonstrations. Not all of them were actually from Iran itself. A lot of fake news, but it also seems that domestic Iranian protests were seized upon by opponents to try to force a violent uprising. The atmosphere created on social media was that the Iranian regime was on the verge of collapse. So far, that has not happened. The geopolitical tension surrounding Iran remains. Perhaps talks between the Iranian leadership and the US could help ease that tension somewhat, but the latest reports do not seem to indicate this. And after Venezuela, now also Greenland. The remarkable case. President Trump has stated that for reasons of defending the Arctic region, he would like to annex Greenland. Those reasons seem far-fetched and are typical opportunistic arguments. Preparations have already been made in the US to have Congress decide to designate Greenland as the 51st state of the US. That is a very strange situation. If the US really goes through with this and Denmark and the US do not reach an agreement, an unworkable situation will arise. This would mean a serious rift within NATO. As the Prime Minister of Denmark rightly pointed out, this would in fact mean the end of NATO. The proposal by the NATO Secretary General to address those alleged security risks on a NATO-wide scale and to initiate a large-scale military development of Greenland is a desperate attempt, purely to keep the ranks closed. Because as far as I know, there has never been any evidence of an acute threat in the Arctic region. But such a NATO action could actually create such a threat, a self-fulfilling prophecy, as it's called. And then, of course, the intensified fighting in Ukraine. Russia has significantly increased the intensity of its bombardments on Ukrainian territories, with attacks on facilities close to the NATO border using hypersonic missiles. According to the Russians, this is partly in response to the alleged drone attacks on Putin's residence in Valdai in the Novgorod region. The military situation, viewed from the Ukrainian side, does not look good. Tensions continue to rise. Moreover, military support from the US also appears to be further declining. You might say it's time to talk. All these developments are, of course, problematic and dangerous, with the Netherlands, like most other countries in the European Union and NATO, largely just a spectator. This difficult situation shows that it is high time for a fundamental reshuffling of international relations, allowing the Netherlands to determine its own international policy and development more than it does now. By building good relationships with all parties and not making unnecessary enemies. NATO and the EU are increasingly standing in the way of such a promising international development. Time for reflection and renewal without taboos.